we're joined by lawyer and a political analyst, Dayo Ajibola. He joins us from Ibadan, Osun State, Nigeria. Thank you for joining us on the news, Dayo.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, could you tell us, are there any legal consequences that could arise from the federal and state governments delaying the Supreme Court's ruling on local government autonomy?
First and foremost, let me correct an impression. I am speaking from Abuja. I'm joining you from Abuja, not from Ibadan.
All right, thank you for joining us.
Yes, I was a local government functionary in Ibadan, but I'm joining from Abuja.
All right, thank you for that correction.
Now, the Supreme Court position is so clear that to every discerning mind, our governors, I said it here on this TV station at the start of this discourse when the judgment just came out newly, that we should expect the governors to fight back. They will never want the implementation of all these position of the Supreme Court, because the local government to them is where they are getting their cow, their whatever from. The money of the local government is what they are using to for their own political ends and economic well-being in quote. You know, I said it to the extent that I was saying that the EFCC position should be, you know, made more powerful on local government vis-a-vis monitoring local government funds, how it is spent, and what have you. But today, because the governors have now reached a kind of a hard position on them, sequel to the Supreme Court position, they are now trying to conduct election. However, a kangaroo or what have you election just for them to have their way. And what they are doing is simply for them to justify the position of that law, which says that you cannot just appoint a local government caretaker, you cannot remove a local government chairman anyhow, and they now want to now use this kangaroo election they are state managing everywhere. You know, you can see the position in Osun State now that is almost resulting into anarchy, you know, if care is not taken. So what they are doing, in essence, our the governors of each state are doing, in essence, is to find a way to subvert the rule of law, to make sure that the implementation of the position of the Supreme Court is not strictly, you know, so to say, adhered to by looking for ways to bend the law, not necessarily break the law this time around. They bend the law by making sure that, you know, they still have their way by putting their stooges or what have you in position in a kangaroo election. The people will suffer. They are arresting, what's it called? They are arresting development at the local government level. That's interpretation. And when I say they are arresting development, I don't need to start enunciating it. Yeah. It is clear. The Human Developmental Index and people are suffering at the local government already. So the implication is that there will be total, you know, breakdown of law and order if care is not taken, because at the point people will fight back.
All right, Dayo, now to avoid the breakdown of law and order, what measures can the judiciary, you know, implement to ensure compliance with the Supreme Court's judgment?
Well, the truth about it, enforcement of the position of certain position from the judiciary is left in the hand of the executive. And so far as the implementation of this outcome of judgment and what have you been passed from the Supreme Court and other higher court of record, is that once the implementation to enforce these laws are within the purview of the executive, there will continue to be problem because of political gain that will be involved into those implementation. As we speak, the PDP are crying foul, saying that, oh, they want to use Oyetola to do what in Osun State. Well, I don't know what the position is in Osun fully, But in as much as the implementation of this particular law is not within the judiciary itself, maybe we could create a kind of a system whereby certain law or certain judgments being shown out from our court of record are enforceable by the judiciary itself. Maybe, of course, we can have a headway. But insofar as the implementation of all these laws that have been passed, that have been made through our judgment in the court of records, are to be implemented by the executive, both at the state and the federal level, there will be problems, there will be chaos. Unless the Nigerian nation itself, we all sit down to redefine the local government, vis-a-vis taking into, the judgment already passed, and all the factors into play. Because the local government is supposed to be the closest to the people. But what do we have today? We are having a system whereby the state government corner whatever is supposed to come, and this is not peculiar to any party. We must be sincere. Every party has been doing that. Every governor, every state have been doing that, and this does not augur well for our society. So what we need to do as a people of the Nigerian state as a whole, in the 774 local government, holistically so in the constitution, we need to sit down and discuss way forward on local government. Do we still want local government as it is? If the answer is yes, what are the things that we need to do? What are things that needed to be taken out? What are things that needs to be taken into the constitution, such that the governors will not see the local government as the fight cow that they will just be butchering and be sharing a proceed in quote now, whatever is meant for the people, they are taking it home as their own largesse, a booty of war kind of. So unless we do that, the people will continue to suffer at the local government, and this does not go well for the society.
All right, Diana. I know you did say earlier that the state governments are bending the law and appointing their stooges. But what about the federal government's 3-month moratorium? Can it be viewed as a tactic to weaken the ruling? And what are its wider political implications? Talking about the moratorium now.
Okay, I will drop the garb of a lawyer now. I will talk as a political scientist. Now, you see, in as much as the position, of the federal government, yes, 3 months moratorium, but the governors, most of these governors are aspiring to contest for some certain position in 2027. Some of them are aspiring to be president against the current president. Some of our senators are aspiring to be governors, and the local government is what they are going to use. It is structure they are going to use to get into their political offices. So they see the action of the president as trying to just change them, remove them from the scheme of things. And the president too, is trying in his own way, as an elder statesman, he has gotten to the pinnacle of his career, he has gotten to the highest level. He's trying to, okay, let me see how I can move the country forward. But the people aspiring to take over power from him at the governor's level and what have you, collaborating with other people, they wouldn't want it to be so. That is the problem. That is the honest truth, And if some of them are hiding in a corner, hoping that, looking at it from the perspective that if this man should succeed on local government, we are finished. That means we cannot have money to challenge him. They are holding on to local government money. I've been there at the local government level. I know what's obtainable. Certain things cannot be said on here. That's the truth of the matter. So it is the local government money they want to use to fight at the central. That's the truth.
Okay.
That's the honest truth.
All right.
If you are getting, say, like in a 33 local government, for instance, in Osun State, you are picking about 50 million every month throughout the local government in Osun State. You can calculate and know the interpretation of that when it comes to monetary strength.
I totally understand where you're heading at, Dayo, but just before we wrap up, I would love to hear your thoughts on the just concluded local government elections in Osun State as well, and also the challenges surrounding the implementation of the Supreme Court's ruling on the local government autonomy, and that's how it will affect, you know, these new people that have come into power now?
Well, the Osun State election, you know, even as a secondary school government student, when you are told to define democracy, the election they have just concluded in Osun State, can that be said to be an election? That's not election. Like they say in the local parlance, they will say, corny. They have just written out names of those they want at the local government. That's not election. Election is a system whereby people vote genuinely, without hindrance, without talk at the polling unit, without somebody coercing them to say, you know, come and do this. When you see the population of those that are queuing up for election in this their so-called local government, can that be said to be election? Insofar as the state are the ones controlling those elections, conducting those elections, there is no way you can get a true position of the feeling of the people. Yes, your party might be the one in power in Osun State, but does not reflect that you own every local government in Osun State. How does that validate logic for crying out loud? So they have just done a selection. To me, that's not an election in the real sense of it. And as people that really wants to develop, we must begin to think beyond our party and start to think about the Nigerian people. You know, a state becomes totally moribund when it lacks the instrumentalities for the enforcement of the rule of law. And this is what is happening, playing out, not only in Osun State, it has played out in Oyo State, it's playing out in Osun State now. Soludo is doing his own in Anambra State. Before we know what's happening, we might be encouraging and inculcating anarchism into the system. I'm a lawyer. I will never support anything that will subvert the rule of law. So what they are doing, to me, is not in tandem with the principle of democracy. It is not in tandem with the principle of the rule of law. That's my position.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dayo, for speaking to us on this, and also for your time.
Thank you so much.